Most men are haunted by their own energy. They can feel it moving under their skin, that restless current that demands to be expressed. It rises from the lower body like smoke from a fire that's never been put out. It tightens the chest, quickens the pulse, and clouds the mind with visions of pleasure. And because they never learned to understand it, they've only learned to flee from it. They call it lust. They call it desire. They call it a need that must be satisfied. But what they really feel is raw life force, the very essence of creation, misinterpreted as craving. From the moment a man begins to awaken sexually, he is taught to discharge what he should learn to direct. Society tells him to chase women, to let it out, to relieve the pressure instead of mastering it. His entire nervous system becomes trained for weakness. He learns to escape rather than endure. And so, he never truly meets himself, because every time tension builds, he runs to distraction. He numbs himself through indulgence. He trades the chance to evolve for the comfort of temporary relief. But there's a secret that only the disciplined ever discover. Tension is not the enemy. Tension is the signal of potential. It is the proof that something powerful is awakening inside you. And your reaction to it determines whether you remain an animal or become an alchemist. The animal releases. The alchemist refines. When you begin to practice retention, you confront this truth directly. The first few days, your body fights back. Your mind rebels. You feel caged inside your own skin. The energy surges with nowhere to go. It's the same chaos that drives most men to relapse, because they mistake discomfort for danger. They don't understand that the chaos is the crucible. That pressure is what begins to forge their new state. Retention isn't simply about holding in seed. It's about holding in energy and transmuting the urge into something higher. When you refuse to leak, your body starts to recalibrate. Your eyes grow sharper because the energy that once drained out of you now rises through your nervous system. Your voice gains resonance. Your walk slows down, heavy with grounded presence. You begin to feel like you're carrying voltage inside your frame, a live wire that no longer belongs to the world, but to you. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. The energy you once begged the world to recognize now radiates without words. People can sense it. They can't describe it, but they feel it when you walk in the room. Psychologically, something profound happens. You start to feel both detached and dangerous, calm on the surface, but full of restrained fire. You become more observant, more strategic, more deliberate in your actions. You no longer chase women because your polarity has reversed. Retention flips the dynamic. Instead of craving the feminine, you embody the masculine in its purest form, full, grounded, unmoved. The magnetic law of attraction takes over. The woman now feels pulled toward the energy you hold, not the energy you leak. This is the origin of dominance, not the loud, performative dominance of insecure men, but the quiet, gravitational authority of one who controls himself completely. Dominance begins in the body. It's in how you breathe, how you look, how you speak when you no longer need to prove anything. The world obeys those who no longer seek its permission. Retention births that energy. But to reach this level, you must face the shadow of your own desire. Jung called it the confrontation with the unconscious, the process of meeting everything you repress. When you stop releasing, you stop hiding. All the lust, fear, insecurity, and ego you used to dissolve through pleasure now rise to the surface. That's why most men can't handle it. Retention becomes a mirror, forcing them to see who they really are without the buffer of instant gratification. But those who endure, who breathe through the chaos, emerge transformed. The transformation is not subtle. Over time, the same energy that once controlled you becomes your compass. You start to see how the world reacts to your frequency. People speak to you differently. Your presence disturbs the weak and attracts the curious. You notice how tension manifests in everything. In eye contact, in silence, in the gap between thoughts. You realize that energy doesn't need to be spent to be felt. It only needs to be contained. The ancient mystics understood this. The samurai, the monks, the sages. They all spoke of conserving essence, because essence is power. When you withhold that power, it becomes a kind of spiritual gravity. You walk differently because you're carrying yourself in full. You move slower, not from laziness, but from density. You feel more, but react less. Every urge becomes a reminder that you are alive, not enslaved. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. This is the foundation of the masculine path, to learn to hold what the average man throws away. Sexual tension is the test, the teacher, and the fuel. It's what separates those who command from those who comply. The modern man spends his days empty, drained by screens, by lust, by distraction, while the retained man grows full, electric, and dangerous. One walks as prey to his biology, the other walks as its master. Retention is not just a practice, it's a psychological rebellion. It is the refusal to let the world drain your vitality through pleasure traps and validation loops. It's the conscious decision to weaponize desire rather than drown in it. Every time you hold your energy, you declare to the universe, I am no longer ruled by impulse. And that declaration begins to reshape everything around you. When you start to embody that energy, people can't quite explain what changed. They just know something about you feels powerful, disciplined, and alive. You look at the world differently, not through hunger, but through command. You begin to notice the subtle hierarchies in every room, the invisible exchanges of energy between people. You start to play the game differently, because while others chase stimulation, you channel it. While others spend, you store. While others release, you rise. And this is only the beginning, because once a man learns to hold his energy, he must learn to direct it. Retention without direction becomes frustration, but retention with purpose becomes power. That's the next phase of transformation, where tension turns into focus, and focus turns into control. Retention is only the first gate. It's where a man learns to stop leaking his power. But mastery begins when he learns to redirect it, because energy without direction becomes pressure, and pressure without purpose becomes madness. Many men start this path thinking abstinence alone will make them powerful, but abstinence without alchemy is simply tension without transmutation. Retention is not the goal. It is the forge, the heat required to refine your energy into something usable, something divine. Once you contain the current, you must conduct it. Every urge becomes a signal, every pulse a reminder that life force is moving through you, waiting for an outlet. The weak man searches for a woman to receive it. The strong man builds something worthy of that same intensity. He channels it into his art, his craft, his business, his training. He begins to see that lust and ambition are twins born of the same fire. What he used to chase through pleasure now fuels his pursuit of purpose. The discipline that once felt restrictive now becomes liberating, because for the first time, he commands the direction of his own energy. Sexual transmutation is not fantasy or mysticism. It's biology mastered through awareness. Your hormones, your breath, your blood pressure, your focus, all are shaped by how you handle the energy of desire. When you hold it, your testosterone levels recalibrate, your dopamine sensitivity resets, and your brain begins to crave challenge instead of comfort. You evolve from consumer to creator. And this shift is not only physical, it's spiritual. You start to realize that desire was never meant to be escaped. It was meant to be offered to something greater than pleasure. The alchemist knows this law. Energy cannot be destroyed, only redirected. Death of desire, the Stoics' path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need, master the mind. Every time you feel that inner burn, the ache, the pull, the need, you have a choice. You can let it consume you, or you can compress it until it transforms into clarity. This is the art of sublimation, to rise from instinct to intellect, from body to spirit, from lust to leadership. The same tension that once enslaved you becomes the very source of your command. As the energy refines, your perception changes. You begin to see the world through patterns of power, not emotion. You stop reacting and start calculating. The feminine no longer disorients you because you no longer see her as the source of your validation, but as a mirror of your mastery. Her attraction becomes confirmation, not temptation. You respect the energy exchange between masculine and feminine, but you no longer drown in it. You've become the pole, grounded, magnetic, and unshakable. This is the essence of true dominance. Dominance is not aggression, it's containment. It's the man who can stand in the storm without flinching, who can feel every impulse surge through him and still remain composed. His dominance is quiet because his control is internal. He doesn't posture or perform, his energy speaks for him. When he enters a room, the air changes. People feel a presence they can't define because they're sensing the field of a man who governs himself completely. His restraint becomes his weapon, and his calm becomes his charisma. Psychologically, this creates what Nietzsche called the higher type, the man who sublimates chaos into creation. Every unspent desire becomes fuel. Every denied indulgence becomes leverage. While the average man wastes his energy chasing pleasure, the retained man invests his energy into empire. He builds his physique, his wealth, his intellect, his influence. He begins to understand that seed is symbol, the potential to create life, not just through flesh, but through form, vision, and purpose. The ancient mystics describe this as the rising of energy through the body's inner ladder. Modern science calls it hormonal optimization. Spiritual traditions call it awakening. But the experience is the same. The energy once trapped below begins to ascend. You feel it as clarity behind the eyes, fire in the mind, rhythm in the heartbeat. The world feels slower, but you move sharper. Your body becomes the vessel, and your will becomes the current steering it. Eventually, retention becomes less about control and more about cultivation. You start to live in sync with your energy cycles. You learn when to hold, when to express, and when to channel. You meditate not to escape the tension, but to merge with it, to guide it through breath, through work, through creation. You become the architect of your own voltage. And with that comes dominion. Not over others. That's primitive. Dominion over yourself is the highest form of power. It's when your mind obeys your will, your body serves your mission, and your emotions Act in harmony with your intent. It's when desire no longer distracts you but drives you. That's when the world begins to bend subtly in your favor, because your energy field no longer scatters, it aligns. Women feel it. Men notice it. Opportunities appear that once seemed distant. It's not magic, it's magnetism, the natural consequence of being energetically whole. You're no longer half-charged, leaking your essence through screens and impulses. You've become a generator of your own power. The same sexual energy that once ruled you now builds your empire. This is what it means when we say retention turns sexual tension into dominance. It's not about abstaining, it's about ascending. It's not about suppression, it's about redirection. The retained man walks with pressure in his veins, but that pressure is purpose. He's no longer chasing release, he's channeling revelation. The animal burns out, the alchemist burns through. And on the other side of that transformation stands the rarest man alive, the one who mastered desire without killing it, who turned lust into legacy, and who learned that true dominance begins within. Thus remember, we are Indecepta. Becoming Indecepta is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. The Crusaders Bundle. 4 ruthless lessons. 1 unbreakable code. For a limited time, claim all 4 Indecepta audiobooks for the price of 3. Step inside the private archive of discipline, power, and psychological warfare, where lust is conquered, the mind is weaponized, and legacy is forged. Don't just listen. Arm yourself. Indeceptions.com